Hey ladies and gentlemen, it's BJ Rammer with Glowing Jack's Pumpkin Patch. Today we're going to be sharpening some chainsaw chains. We have gone to town on that pumpkin tree, and I know y'all probably watch those videos and things like that. We got chainsaw chains that are not sharp right now, so we're going to go to town on them today and try to do the best we can on getting them sharp. This is just kind of a quick video, a quick tutorial on how I do it. I don't get very intricate. I don't use any special tools. I don't use any file guides, Dremels, sharpeners, anything like that. Right here, this is the number one thing I use. You may say, well, you can get a chain off real quick. By the time I get done with this chain, I go through chains pretty quick. I have to change them out pretty regularly. I got the feel of how I do things with my chains, and that's just where I'm at. You know, I can come through, hit them real quick. Sometimes I mess them up, sometimes I don't, but you know, I can usually figure it out pretty quick on what's wrong. This is really simple. I think when I first started sharpening chains, I was getting way too intricate in it. I was overthinking it. I was trying to be too perfect on what I was trying to get by my angles and things like that. Real quick, when it comes to your chains, first, know what type of chain you have. Right now, I have a steel chain. It's in the 3/8 low profile. I'm going to be using a 5/32 file on it. You know, this is what I'm going to be using for this specific chain. If you go to a quarter pitch, you may be using 5/32 or a 1/8 file. Just whatever you have. If you go to the bigger 3/8, you may be using the 7/32 maybe. I'll have to check it and double check. I know it's my biggest file that I have for my 3/8 chain. Always make sure you have the right file for the right chain. Very important. If you do not, you will have your chain's just not going to cut right. You're going to have to be at the wrong angles. Your cutters are going to be all wrong. We're going to get up here close. You're coming up. Let's see. There we go. Your angles are going to be all wonky and messed up. So you want to watch out for that. So, I mean, this is pretty basic technique. On this chain, I do have the lines on it that say, you know, hey, this is the angle that we like to see the chain. Each chain is different on its angles. Sorry, I thought this one had a yellow link on it. I thought it was a steel chain. It may be a steel chain, I'm not for sure. But always mark where you start. That's a good number one tip. I use a little crown thing. If not, I use a magic marker, something like that. Mark where you're going to start at. That's a really good tip for number one. Well, that'd be like number two tip. Always have the right file. Know what type of chain you're doing. Know what type of angle you need to go at. These are at a 30 degree angle. And that's all that is just the angle that where your file is going to be at. So just keep that in mind. The angle of what your file is going to be at. And then you got your angle. Also, another helpful tool is I have this. It's from a Forester. It has a 25 degree on one side angle and a 30 degree on the other side. Very helpful if you're just going to be going quick, blind, and just following your original path. This will kind of keep you a little bit on track. I don't like the file guides. I think they hinder it or keep you in a wonky position. They can kind of make it tough sometimes. Sometimes they go smooth. It just depends if you get a good file guide or not. But these little handy devices, you know, they can keep you somewhat on track, keep you somewhat in the range that you want to be at. So I'm going to try to get the best angles I can. So let me no, we're not going to readjust. We're just going to go at it. Because, I mean, all in all, you can watch me do this all day long. But you're going to have to do it yourself, and you're going to have to practice, and you're going to have to learn how to do it a lot, efficiently, and on your times when you don't have nothing to do. Practice filing. This takes skill. It takes an art form. You know, so pretty much get your guide lined up. Now, at some parts of the chain, I can cut better. If I try to get all the way wonked up here, you know, I'm going to be hitting my saw. You know, so get it out here. Some guys like to clamp it down. Some guys like to put their chains in a vise. Some guys like to lock their bar. I don't do that. I used to do that. I used to get all technical about it on how these things needed to be. And I figured out the best thing is just go to town on it, especially if you're a carving guy. A logger guy, somebody that's cutting firewood all day long, they may do it differently. They may have more time. But if I'm sitting there going to town on a carving, I don't have time to stop and, you know, take an hour to sit there and, hey, let's carve this out. No, I don't got time for that. Let's get this chain sharp real quick and go back at it. That's what it's all about, going back at it. Right now, I can tell that I must have done something weird last time on my angles and things like that, because this is cutting differently. So right now I can tell I'm getting a way better angle. They're turning out very sharp. I don't overdo them. I do about 3 to 4 passes. That is all I do on my chains. Right now I kind of do a test feel. I'm feeling it, feels good, move on. You know, this isn't some big intricate thing that you know, you kind of look through. You know, there are key things. Maybe you can see it and maybe you can't. There you go. Now you see how this has that, I'm getting the right one, right there. Focus, focus, focus. Right there, how it has that angle into it, that moon shape. You want to keep your moon shape. Keep that moon shape. That moon shape is gonna help, you know, get that cutter in there a little bit better. Sorry, it's hot here in Kentucky today. That's why I'm wearing my janky shirt. But keep that angle in there, that moon shape. If you're cutting weird and if you don't have that moon shape going on, then more than likely your cutters are not doing very well at all. They're not cutting well, they're not taking the right amount of chip out. If you start having sawdust come through, you know, instead of nice, big, long chips, then you know you got a problem. Your cutters aren't working good. Another thing we'll talk about is our depth gauges. Some people call them rakers. I like to call them depth gauges because that's what a lot of people, you know, from the forums and all that jazz, they're like, no, they're depth gauges, don't call them rakers. But anyways, the depth gauges, they do help and determine, you know, how your saw is going to cut, how much wood it's going to cut, if your saw is going to cut efficiently, if it's going to be taking off enough of chip, not getting enough good bite, you know, things like that. And that's what a lot of people have a misconception of. Hey, I'm just checking these real quick. We're going to work and talk at the same time. That way it's all, you can see how quick I'm doing it. All these feel good. Now, I made a big boo-boo with this chain a couple sharpens ago. You know, I was thinking, man, I'm tired of this taking off just a little bit of wood. I want it to take off a lot of wood. So I took my depth gauges, which is these right here. Some people call them rakers. Either way, doesn't matter, doesn't care, because they do the same job. These determine how short or tall, how much wood you're going to be grabbing, how much this cutter is going to be grabbing. Keep that in mind. So if you have never touched these, let me grab a file real quick. If you have never touched one of these before, then all you need to do is take a simple file. This is chainsaw file, comes in a kit, and you know, hit it maybe once, 2 or 3 times, and you know, and go over. I always go at the bottom. Sharpening chainsaws, always go at the bottom, the top, and then the end. You want it to kind of round over. That way you're not getting that chattery jumping feel on your chain where your chain's just drilling into the wood. That way it has a smooth transition and grabs by each link. So keep that in mind. If you're only getting sawdust but you know your chain's sharp, then it's probably these bad boys. They're probably up too high. They do have gauges that you can sit on top of here. I don't know, mine somewhere. And you can kind of measure. But the best thing I've been able to tell is look down your bar. If you can tell that depth gauge is above your cutter, then you're not getting any wood. If your let me say it again, if your depth gauge is higher than your cutter, you are not cutting anything. So make sure that it's set at the right depth. You don't want to give them too much. Your saw is going to be too grabby. It's going to grab too much wood. It's going to bog down your saw. It's not going to work proficiently. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the saw around and do it again. But I just want to give you a quick video on how I do it. You know, don't think about it too much. Just make sure the chain looks the way it did out of the box. Try to get it to that position if you can again. If it gets too wonky, take it to somebody that can cut it with the machine. That'll be one of your best things you can do. Take it to somebody that can cut it with the machine, get it back on track, and get back to sawing. Always have a couple more blades ready to go if you need them. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you liked it, submit, share. I know somebody else is going to have a better way of doing things, and they may like something better. This is how I do it. I can do it quick. I can do it within minutes and be back to cutting. And after a while, if you do this, It's better than any gimmicky thing out there. Saves you a lot of money, and you're back to cutting. This isn't for the pros. This isn't for the people that need chains. They go through chains every day. This is for the dudes that carve and needs to get back on track. Carve it. The guy that's at home, that's what this is for. All right, I know there's better ways. Hopefully this teaches you something, helps you learn. All right, have a good day. Bye.